if you do want love and you're looking for romantic love and you want a lifelong partner, all right? Not stupid Prince Charming, like a lifelong partner, someone who's going to be there, who's going to grow with you, build with you, cherish you, you cherish them, you guys uplift each other and support one another. And of course, there's chemistry and the intimacy is good. Try matchmaking. Hello and welcome to Kitchen Table Advice. My name is Paula and I am the host of this podcast. This podcast is a place where you can ask for any advice you want. It can be relationship, both platonic or romantic, career advice, or life advice. I wanted to create a space where people could ask questions without fear of rejection. I can't guarantee it'll be good advice, but I can guarantee there'll be no shame on my end. Your name will be anonymous and your identity will always be kept a secret. This is not professional advice, and I am not a licensed therapist or psychologist, and you are under no obligation to take this advice. Just think of this as advice you would get from a close friend on a kitchen table. So, let's begin. Hello, listeners. We are back, and as usual, we'll just dive into the first story of the episode. So, the title of the first story is Long Distance is Making Me Question the Value of My Relationship with My Partner. Ooh. Okay, I'm a 28-year-old woman and I'm writing regarding my current relationship with my partner, a 28-year-old man. We've been together for 5 years and lived together for a year until he moved away for work last year. Since then, the relationship had gone through a weird trajectory. I was first worried about the long distance and thought I'll be miserable because we were really close throughout our relationship and we were best friends too. A few months in, I did okay. The next few months, I was definitely sad and missed him a lot, and I also wanted to be with him. But now for the last couple of months, I've actually been feeling really good about living by myself. He's been feeling pretty much miserable from day one to this day, and at the moment, he's really pushing for me to move closer to his city, but I'm feeling so ambivalent about it. I do want to have a life together, but I'm also feeling unsure about how happy I will be. I've gotten used to having a lot of freedom and flexibility. Oh my gosh. I can relate to this so much. Anyways, I can do whatever I want whenever I want. I can watch TV or go out with my friends or just sleep in. I just feel like when I was living with him, that was not possible. I had to plan my day around his schedule. Parentheses, I mean, he had to do that too, at least to some extent. And I understand that this is a part of a relationship. Also, being together means more fighting. Right now, we talk for a couple of hours at most per day, which is not going to be the case if we were living together. We definitely improved a lot since our first year of our relationship, and I know it's unrealistic to expect to never fight, but still, I just feel awful fighting and being by myself. I just feel awful fighting, and being by myself means I don't have to deal with it as much. It's like the relationship has been giving me higher ups but also lower lows. And because of the long distance, I don't experience the higher ups. So I'm questioning the viability of the relationship. Wow. We'll be back with our advice after this break. We are back. And I just want to start by saying what you're writing about is actually very common. It's very common. I've heard this a lot, and I was so surprised by how common it was, because the way media portrays relationships is that you have to be around each other, you have to be close, which is great, but sometimes you need your space. I've been surprised by the amount of women who are in relationships who are like, I actually want to be by myself. I want the ability to come and go as I please, to hang out with my friends, to come back in, and it's it's shocking because that's not usually what, at least when I was growing up, that's not what I saw. And now I'm seeing a lot of that. I just want to have the freedom to do as I please while still being in a relationship. I think there is a way to do that, but I think there's a way to do that. I really do think there's a way to do that, but it's going to vary from couple to couple as to how they can navigate through the separation and and how they can kind of balance the space and closeness at the same time. But I think there is a way to navigate that, because I actually think, as it said before, distance makes the heart grow fonder. I'm pretty sure we had an episode before where the girl was like, she didn't like the long distance, and then she met her boyfriend, and she just felt all these rush of emotions. I think distance actually makes the heart grow fonder. I don't think that because you're in love with someone, you have to be around them 24/7. Some people may disagree with this feeling, but that's really what I think. I don't think you have to be around them 24/7. I think that you can go your own separate ways, do your own separate things, but still be in love with that person. But regardless of that, how does that work for you? You, as a person who wrote this in, how does it work for you? I You guys are just gonna have to communicate. It is a straight up communication thing. He does not like the distance, and he's miserable. And you're slowly starting to find yourself back up, or maybe not find yourself, but rediscover stuff about yourself that you may have pushed to the side because you were in a relationship and you wanted to give your partner love and attention. That's completely understandable. When we love someone, we don't mind sacrificing for them a little bit. But now you're slowly starting to find that person back, and you really enjoy the ability to be free, come and go as you like, and do whatever you like. But you also like being in a committed relationship, being with a loving partner who's supportive, caring, makes you feel cherished, and you do the same for them. So how do you navigate this when you like the space and you like the closeness, but your partner seems to just like the closeness and cannot do with the space? How do you deal with this? You have to talk. You have to talk. Yeah, that's basically it. You have to talk. You need to explain to them that there are going to be some times when you're going to want your own space. You may want your own time, and obviously it doesn't mean you do not love them, but it's just like there are times that you need to dedicate to yourself. And I don't know how that talk is gonna go for you. I too am trying to navigate this. It's difficult. I'm not even going to lie, but I think you can just talk and explain to them, and obviously while you're with them, give them your undivided attention, knowing fully well that you are going to have that space to yourself. To be quite honest, I don't know, because this is a new thing, and I've been hearing a lot of women also talk about this, and I was shocked because from what I have seen, or from what's portrayed in media, it's just like couples are always, they're locked to the hip every single time, which is great and it's loving and it's nice. Like, oh, well, you guys are in love, blah blah blah. I mean, not blah blah blah, but like it's a great thing. But at a certain time, it's also like I need my space. But yeah, I'm unsure. I really don't know what advice I can give you other than just communicate these. What the heck is that? I'm so sorry. I'm not really sure what advice I can give you other than just communicate with your partner and tell him, explain to him that you're going to need your space in this relationship, and that is something that is integral to your growth. And if someone who loves you is going to understand that, you know what to tell your partner, to be like, I need my space. And it doesn't mean I don't love you, obviously, but it just means like there are certain times that I really need my space. And I think that's something that you have to discuss with him. And I don't know. And another thing, you said there was a fighting. It's like, what are you guys fighting about though? What are you guys fighting about? Because another thing that I've seen with people, this isn't just women, this is also men as well, with people who tend to like their space, who tend to be a bit more introverted or self-analyzing or self-aware. Well, not self-aware, but like they're a bit more introverted and they're more likely to analyze themselves. They also don't tend to be confrontational. So I don't know if the fighting is because you're holding back and you think that if you tell your partner this, then it's obviously going to upset them, which it may upset them. It's like, what is the fighting based on? Is the fighting based on the distance, or is it just that you feel like when you are with your partner and when you guys are basically stepping on each other's toes, do you feel like that closeness, it's angering you a little bit, because I have heard that as well. The people who are like, I love my girlfriend, I love my boyfriend to death, but I cannot stand them for 24 hours. I have heard that as well. So is the closeness, is the closeness contributing to you guys fighting, or you guys fighting about something and it's just a communication error? What is that about? But I've definitely been hearing this a lot. There are a lot of people who want to be in a relationship but also want their own space. And I'm just wondering, how does that work? Because I just want to know how that works, because it seems like a wonderful thing. But yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you much of an advice other than communicate with your partner, but I think you should. I think that is the main advice. Just communicate and try to explain yourself. Tell him how integral it is for you to have your own space at a given place and time. And don't try to, as much as I understand when you love someone, you have to give. Don't give too much to the point where you feel like you feel resentment for your partner, because that's, it's good to give, it's good to be nurturing, it's good to be kind. However, when you're always the one giving and your partner's always the one taking, you may start feeling some resentment, which is perfectly understandable. That's why relationships are give and take. It's a balancing act. And just because you give a certain way doesn't mean your partner is gonna give back that same way. They have a way of giving you love, or showing love, that is different from yours. However, if your partner meets your emotional needs, that's wonderful, that's great, but don't don't make them don't make it their business to meet their emotional needs, because as usual, as we all know, everyone is different. Everyone has a different way of showing affection. And if your partner wants to be shown affection a certain way, you may compromise and try to do that. But if that's not fundamentally who you are, then that's you changing yourself to fit in a relationship that does not really fit you. I hope it makes sense. I hope it makes sense, because I haven't really fleshed out this thought completely, but I feel as though there are a lot of people who understand that, yes, I'm gonna have to give to my partner, but then there's a weird line where it becomes you're giving too much to the point where you're taking from yourself, or you're trying to mold yourself into this version that you think your partner is gonna accept, because either you may not be confident in who you are, you may not think that they will stay if you don't do X, Y, Z. And that's why it really gets to be detrimental, where giving almost becomes a burden, or almost turns into resentment, because your partner is, in your eyes, your partner is making you change into this person who isn't really you. And that may spiral into you not feeling safe, you not feeling as though you can be completely yourself in a relationship, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And when I'm saying this, I'm talking about healthy relationships. I'm not talking about narcissists or manipulative people. Those are a different breed. I'm talking about just regular people who love each other, who want to give to each other, but because one person likes to receive love this way, the other person feel as though they have to bend to the point where they're not themselves. I'm not talking about manipulators. That's a completely different thing that I don't even want to address right now. That's a whole whirlwind of stuff. But yeah, communication, girl, communication. Just talk to your partner, try to voice out your concern, try to explain to him that you need your space. You love him, you want to be around him, of course, but your space is also integral to your growth. It's also integral for in you becoming a better partner for him as well. But yeah, that's why I'm gonna leave it there, and we will jump into the second story of the episode. All right, so we're jumping into the next story of the episode, and the title is I Worry I Would Never Experience Romantic Love. Has anyone fallen in love for the first time after this age? Okay, so let's just jump in. I'm a 30-year-old single woman, and I'm worried I will never experience real romantic love. I'm at the stage of my life where most of my peers have been paired up for a while and are getting married / having kids. Most of them seem truly in love with their partners. I've been trying to find something similar, but I've never felt that way about a man. I'm not looking for an instant spark. I've dated men for several months hoping that strong feeling would occur, but while I've felt affection for them, I've never felt a strong, quote unquote, this is the person I want to spend my life with. Emotion. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with me. I truly love my parents and siblings. I have strong feelings. I have strong lifelong friendships, so I seem to be able to form strong relationships. I'm definitely not asexual, and I don't think I'm aromantic as long as I long for a romantic relationship. Is there something wrong with me? I worry that if I haven't experienced this by 30, I never will. Wow. We're just gonna jump in straight in with the advice. There's nothing wrong with you. It's like, if you want me to answer the question at the end, the answer is there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. And I've come across this before, and I guess it's like this world is so weird. We are so connected and disconnected at the same time, and it's just like maybe um bringing back traditional stuff that were used in the past is the way to navigate this weird dating scene slash romantic scene. So I'll actually advise you as a 30-year-old single woman, if you do want love and you're looking for romantic love and you want a lifelong partner, all right? Not stupid Prince Charming, like a lifelong partner, someone who's going to be there, who's going to grow with you, build with you, cherish you, you cherish them, you guys uplift each other and support one another. And of course, there's chemistry and the intimacy is good. Try matchmaking. I'm actually going to tell you to try matchmaking, because it's like dating apps don't seem to be working. At least from what I have seen and from what I've been told, dating apps do not seem to be working. Meeting people out and about does not seem to be working as well, because everyone is glued to their phones. What else? Being introduced by friends. Some people don't even have friends. Because I know there was a point where I kept telling you guys, have your friends introduce you. Some people don't have friends. What do you do then? I'm going to advise you to find a matchmaker. You can ask your friend if they have someone available, but then again, your friends and you may not have the same preferences in dating, so they might match you with a bum. Try a matchmaker. It's gonna cost it's gonna cost some money. However, I do think it's worth it. Even if you don't match with someone, you can be added to a database that is gonna have you there until your prospective partner shows up. And just because you're trying matchmaking doesn't mean you just have to limit yourself to the options the matchmaker are giving you. You can also try matchmaking in conjunction to asking your friend, in conjunction to doing all these stuff. But it just seems as though finding real love and romance is so hard in right now, even though we're all connected. I don't know. Is it information overload? Is it because there are tons of options out there? Probably those may all play a factor into it, but I think it's best for in this day and age to go back to the basics. Even though matchmaking has been used for, wealthy families to just grow their wealth, I think in this day and age it can actually be used for love. Back then it was used to just grow money, grow wealth, keep the family wealth, or keep the wealth growing. Now matchmaking is used to find people who connect with one another, who have the same hobbies, same values, same beliefs, same traditions, and all you have to do is just show up on a date. If there's a spark, that works great. If there's no spark, then you go on your next date. But yeah, I will actually advise you, if you're 30, you're looking for love, and it seems like there are no options out here. It seems as though the river is dry. There's no one coming forward, there's no one willing, or the good men are taken, or they're gay, and only the bad men are out here. I'll actually advise you to try matchmaking. There are people out there who are looking for love, who are struggling exactly like you are, and they don't know where to find you. For example, if you're in the United States, there are 50 different states. Imagine if you're in California and your partner is in New York. How are you gonna meet them? It's gonna be difficult for you to meet them. Your partner might actually be in a completely different state. So what do you do in that regard? You just wait in California, hoping for them to eventually maybe come down to California for one summer or a weekend, and you happen to spontaneously meet them. Forget that, okay? If you really want love, you need to go out there and make an effort. And if that effort means matchmaking, then by all means go for it. The whole spontaneously meeting someone, it's like it doesn't seem like it's working. It does not seem like it's working. It doesn't and even back in the day, it doesn't seem like it really worked. It just seemed like the movie industry was just pushing that because it was, oh, it's romantic. It's just like, listen, if you want someone, you want romantic love, you have to be intentional about it. Don't sit on your couch. Don't sit on your phone going through dating apps. This is if you want long-term relationships. If you just want to hook up, then by all means go to the dating apps. And yes, I know some people got married on the dating apps. I get that. But don't do that. Even dating apps are limited. They're just for the people in your city. Like I said, if your partner is in New York, you're in California, guess what? Are you ever going to meet them? I don't know. Maybe not. Or maybe when you're 60. It sounds gloomy, but yeah. But it's just like, be intentional about it. Find a matchmaker. Find a matchmaker that has a large database that you'll be comfortable with. If you just want to date Western men, or if you're interested in international, whichever one. It is going to cost you a bit of money. I do understand that. But if this is something you really feel like you want, you don't, then I think like everything else, you have to be intentional about it. Whenever we want to pursue a career, we're intentional about it. We make sure we have the correct skill. We make sure we put in the time. We make sure we put in the effort. Sometimes you have to pay for the classes for you to enter that career. I think the same thing can be applied to love. I don't know, like, I feel as though, yes, spontaneously meeting your partner is great, but at the end of the day, if you have someone who is there for you, who understands you, does it really matter if you spontaneously met them or if it was matched? Does it really? I don't think so. That's just how I see it. I don't think so. And I think that if you want something, you have to be intentional about it and you have to go for it. And good for you if you spontaneously met them. That's great. But if your partner is not in the same state as you or the same country, then what are you going to do? You're just going to sit there and wait for them to eventually come around here? No. Let's take life by the, you guys know. Take life by the balls and go for it. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to be intentional. Don't be afraid to say that this is what you want. And don't be afraid to invest and put your money where your mouth is. If this is something that is important for you, if this is something that you feel as though will bring you growth, will bring you happiness, will bring you joy, I don't think you should be relying on your partner for joy. But if you feel called to, continue the rest of your life with someone else, then by all means, try matchmaking. That's what my advice is going to be. Usually I would tell you, try to ask your friends, try to put yourself out there, try to talk to people, but it doesn't seem like it's working. I've heard so many people say, it is not working. Stop telling me that, do that. It's not working. So I'm going the traditional route. We're trying matchmaking now. All right. But yeah. And if you want to find a matchmaker, please do make sure that you match with that person. This is the same thing as if you want to find a therapist. You need to interview them, see their success rate, how they work, and if they can potentially help you with what you're looking for in a partner. So, yeah. And before that, you need to have a list as to how the characteristics and virtues and values you would appreciate in a partner, and find a matchmaker that is better equipped with understanding those. Yeah. So that's where I am going to wait. I've been talking for a while. But yeah. All right. So that is it for this episode. We have a little bit of time. So if there's another story, a really short story, then this might be a 3-story episode. Or if there's not, then all right, so we're going to jump into the third story of the episode. It kind of looks short, but judging from the title, the advice might not be short. Anyways, the title is My friend and I have had this ongoing long distance situationship for almost 6 years. What? Let's jump in. My friend is a 32-year-old man, and I'm a 31-year-old woman. We've known each other since freshman year of college 13 years ago. We see each other once or twice a year, and the only reason I'm calling it a situationship is because we've had feelings for each other in the past, and they haven't really gone away on my end. And I think he still has feelings for me too. We definitely still see other people, but we don't bring up. Okay, we both definitely see other people, but we don't bring up hookups or we're dating anyone in any conversation. We talk on the phone slash FaceTime every single day. He calls me on his way to work and on the way home. He calls me when he's running errands and when he's going anywhere. Some would think we were just best friends, which I agree we are. We tell each other basically everything, but he will randomly, parentheses, not super often, make sexual jokes or say something about wanting to hook up, etc. It's getting to the point where I don't know how long I can take this. As I type this out, it seems silly, but I don't know what to do. Sometimes I feel like he gets all the emotional support of a partner without actually having one. How should I confront him? I obviously want him in my life, but if he doesn't want a future with me, then I need to say something. I'm at the point in my life where I'm able to move and work from wherever I want, and I'll be willing to do that if he wanted to take things seriously. Is it worth it to even have the conversation? I'm a firm believer in saying, in I'm a firm believer in the saying, if he wanted to, he would. And it's been playing in the back of my mind for 6 years. And and he's never made any comments about wanting to be together. Wow. We'll be back with our advice after this break. We are back. We are back. When I read the title, I was so confused as to how she can be in a 6-year situationship, but now finding that they weren't intimate at all, it makes sense. So it's just like emotionally draining, but no intimacy. Okay. I know you said if he wanted to, he would, which I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I will actually say this might be one of the few cases where you guys have been friends for so long and he does not want to ruin that friendship because, as you stated, you guys have not been intimate at all. Even though he does make sexual jokes about wanting to hook up, you guys have never actually hooked up. Meaning, well, it could still be a situationship, but I think it's mostly seen as a friendship or close friendship or best friendship, as you stated. I think the feelings, you still have feelings for him and you've been having feelings for him for the last, 6 years or 13 years. I don't know. Tell him. I don't know. I'm actually going to go on the limb here and say, tell him. Why not? Because it doesn't seem as though you guys have gotten intimate. It doesn't seem as though you guys have engaged in that. So it still seems as though you guys are friends. Yes, he's making stupid jokes, which friends do. It's a thing. It's like friends do, whether they're guy friends or girlfriends, they make dumb jokes. Okay, or maybe it's just my friends. I hope not. But yeah, it just seems, from an outsider perspective, it just seems like this is a really close friendship. And if you have feelings for him, he may not want to ruin that friendship because it is something he values. It does seem as though it does seem as though you are providing that emotional support, but not that, you are providing that emotional support that a partner would provide. It does seem as though you are doing that. And I agree with you on that front. But it also seems as though the two of you have not really gone into that romantic area of your relationship. It still seems as though it's in a friendship zone. That's where I would say. Yes, you talk online. Yes, he talks to you whenever he's at work or whenever he's going anywhere. That's basically where the emotional support is coming from. I get that. And you guys talk basically every day. So you guys are almost doing what a couple would do. You are doing what couples do without the intimacy part, without the sensual part, without all of that. And it's fine. And I will actually go on a limb here and say, and tell him how you feel and see if he still feels the same way. That's what my advice would be. I don't actually think that this is tricky because there is a point in a friendship where you've been friends for so long and you like this person, you're so comfortable around them, and they make you feel as though you can be, at least 90% of yourself. I don't know if you can ever be 100% of yourself around people, but at least a good 90% of yourself, which is like pretty high. And they make you feel, you can be 90% of yourself around them. And some people don't want to own that because that's the only relationship they have in their life where they can be free, they can be open, they can be candid, and no one is going to judge them. It's very difficult to find a connection like that. And some people, they may just like the connection so much and they think that if they enter a romantic relationship with you, then it's going to ruin everything. And there are times when it does, but if you want a romantic relationship, then I think it's appropriate for you to ask your friend if they feel the same way about you. And that's exactly how I will voice it. I wouldn't try to make it like, well, it is a big thing, but that I'll voice it exactly that way, that you have feelings for them romantically and you want to know if those feelings are reciprocated. That's it. And depending on their answer, well, it's definitely going to change your relationship, you introducing that aspect. And depending on your answer, you're just going to have to live with that. I don't really know what's going on, but I also know that people can get so comfortable in a routine that they don't want to mess it up. So I don't know if that's the case here or if he just doesn't like you that way. Because sometimes sometimes the lines can be blurred. But yeah, that's my advice. That's what I would give you. I actually thought the advice was going to be longer, but it's not. I'm glad it's not. All right, so that's my advice, and that's it for this episode. And we'll see you next Sunday. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And what did you think? What did you think of the first story? That one was, I just think she likes space. And I think communication is the way to go about it. I wish I had more. But at this point in time, this is still a new concept to me of like trying to, what's it called? Trying to balance giving your partner space, yet also being close together. Having that, what's it called? Building up that mystery and that desire while still being intimate and vulnerable. It's kind of difficult to balance. So that's why my advice was kind of just communicate, but I'm sure there's a better way out there, and I'm going to try to do my research about it and see what books say. Everything's in a book right now, and see what other people say. But yeah, so for now, my advice is communication, but in the future, it might differ, it might change, but I really want to educate myself on this topic because it's very interesting. And the second story about finding romantic love in your 30s, I think it's possible, but like everything else in life, you have to be intentional. It seems as though we're told to be intentional in every single aspect of our life. But when it comes to romance, just sit there and spontaneously meet your partner. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You can't be intentional in your career, intentional in buying that house, through saving or doing this, doing that. You're intentional in every single aspect of your life. But when it comes to love, I'm going to spontaneously meet my partner in the middle of the street. No. Be intentional about it. Just like everything else, go find a matchmaker. If this is something you want, if this is something you feel called to do, if you feel like your forever partner is out there somewhere, your soulmate, your twin flame, whatever it is, if you feel like they're out there, go get a matchmaker. There's nothing wrong with that. People have done it before. Yes, it was done for nefarious means. I'm not saying find a matchmaker just because you you want someone who's rich, even though people do that, they still do that today. But like trying to find a matchmaker for love who has a similar set of values, similar set of traditions, who maybe is open minded, who may have the same hobbies as you, but is also open minded to other hobbies, where they can introduce you to new stuff and you can introduce them to new stuff. But yeah, let's try to be intentional in every single aspect of our life, not just in the stuff that we're told to be quote unquote intentional. But then when it comes to romance, we're supposed to leave it a chance. No, I don't believe in leaving romance a chance. If you want a romantic relationship and you want a partner, go out there and find one. And the likelihood of you finding them on dating apps seems to be slim. The likelihood of finding them in the middle of the street seems to be slim. The likelihood of finding them through your friend group is probably a little bit better, but if you don't have any friends, then that's also slim for you. So go to a matchmaker. And and lastly, with the third story, even though I talked about being intentional in the second story, I feel as though this one is a little bit different. Because I know people can get really comfortable in their relationships where they feel as though a part of them is being nurtured, but they also don't want to quote unquote ruin that relationship by introducing an unknown factor. Because stating your feelings, stating your romantic feelings to your friend is going to change that relationship. Whether they agree or disagree, your relationship is fundamentally going to change. So I understand why he may be a little bit reluctant to say how he feels, but I think if this is something that, like I said in the preview, if this is something that she feels as though she needs to voice, by all means voice it. There's nothing wrong with that. And even if he does reject her, if this is a friendship she wants to continue nurturing and valuing, then she knows what to do. Or if he does reject her and she feels as though she doesn't want to emotionally pour in this friendship anymore, she want to go someone else, then she can do that. It's better for her to have the answers than to wonder what could have been or what couldn't have been. Yeah. I don't like regret. So, yeah. That's why I gave my advice. And please leave us a comment if you agree with our advice or if you disagree with our advice. And please don't forget to like this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. And if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then please leave us a 5-star review, preferably a 5-star review, but we'll also take 1-star review. And let us know what you thought overall of this episode. And lastly, if you ever want your stories to be featured on our next episode, then send us an email at kitchentableadvice@gmail.com. That's why we get all our email suggestions as well as business inquiries. So if you want to reach out to us for a business proposal, we are open to that. Just send us an email at kitchentableadvice@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye.